Hello brothers and sisters, welcome to Dangerous African Confession. This is the final episode with the native doctor who shared with us some secrets of what some prophets do to receive their sight in order to be able to prophesy. This is a three-part series where he takes us through his dealings with these prophets. We now know from his previous episode that, behind the grand altars, the powerful miracles, and the visions they proclaim, there is a dark and terrifying secret. A secret that he is here to share all with us. Before we continue, please make sure to subscribe to Dangerous African Confession so you don't miss more shocking revelations. Like this video if you believe the truth must be exposed, and comment below if you have ever questioned where some prophets get their powers. Now, let us go and listen to him.
You see, to the world, they are men of God. Anointed, chosen, filled with divine wisdom. But to those of us who know the truth, they are something else entirely, vessels of forces beyond human comprehension. Their lives are no longer their own. They have crossed a threshold from which there is no return. The moment a prophet takes his first life for power, the spirits mark him. The mark is unseen by ordinary eyes, but those of us who walk in the dark can recognize it immediately. It lingers in the way he speaks, the way he moves, the way shadows cling to him in ways they should not. With this mark, his presence alone will draw people to him. Those who once doubted him will suddenly believe. His words will carry weight beyond human reasoning, and his prayers will shake the foundations of the spiritual realm. But the mark is more than just a sign of power. It is a contract. Again, I must say that the spirits do not give freely, and their mark is a reminder that the prophet now belongs to them. He can preach, he can heal, he can command thousands to kneel before him, but he is never truly free. The spirits will always whisper. They will guide his words in ways he does not fully understand. They will show him visions that control the path he walks. And they will demand more from him, time and time again. No prophet remains powerful without continued sacrifice. When a prophet returns from my shrine, he does not return the same. The people no longer see him as an ordinary man. Even those who once doubted his calling will now bow before him, sensing the power that has settled upon his soul. His voice carries weight. When he speaks, people tremble. When he prays, the air around him shifts. But the true sign of his transformation is in the miracles. The spirits do not grant power without proof. And so, that is when prophet begins to perform what his followers believe to be the works of God. These miracles do not happen because of faith. They happen because the spirits allow them to. They allow the prophet to show signs and wonders, to prove his divine calling, to draw more souls into his web of influence. And as his following grows, so does his thirst for more. More power. More miracles. More control. What began as a simple desire to see beyond the ordinary soon becomes an addiction. He will begin to crave greater manifestations, greater signs that will set him apart from the rest. He will not be content with mere prophecy. He will want to command the elements, to walk in realms that even the spirits hesitate to tread. And for this, more will be required of him. More sacrifice. More devotion. More submission to the forces that now own his soul. The stages of the birth of a prophet. I mean what they go through to become the prophet they are. The last stage of a prophet's birth is the moment he accepts his true nature. With time, he will realize that he is no longer bound by the same rules as other men. He will understand that his prayers are not answered by the God he once served, but by the spirits that now walk with him. And when that realization comes, there is no more struggle. He embraces what he has become. His heart grows cold, untouched by human suffering. His mind sharpens, calculating, always seeking the next move. His soul sinks deeper into the abyss, bound to forces that will never let him go. And in this moment, the true prophet is born. No longer a man. No longer a servant. But a ruler in his own right. A God among men. One thing to note is that power is a gift, but it is also a burden. The prophets who come to me do not understand this. They believe that once they have received sight, once they have made their offering and been reborn, their journey is complete. But true power is not something that is simply given. It is something that must be carried. And for those who have touched the Spirit, that weight never leaves their shoulders. It follows them like a shadow, pressing down on them with every step they take. It consumes them. When the spirits open a man's eyes, they do not close them again. A prophet who has undergone the rituals will never again see the world as he once did. The veil that once separated the living from the unseen has been torn away, and now he exists in both realms at once. He walks among men, but he sees beyond them. Everywhere he goes, he is surrounded by spirits, whispering, watching, moving in ways no ordinary man can perceive. He cannot close his eyes to them. He cannot silence their voices. You see, at first, the visions come in flashes. Shadows shifting at the edges of his sight. Figures standing where no one should be. Strange murmurs slipping into his ears like the rustling of leaves in the wind. But soon, it becomes more. He begins to see things before they happen. A man approaches him, seeking a blessing, and before the man even speaks, the prophet knows his entire life story. He sees the man's sins, his weaknesses, the secret fears he has never spoken aloud. Someone kneels before him, asking for deliverance, and the prophet sees the sickness eating away at the body, the spirits clinging to the like parasites, whispering of the death that awaits that person. The visions do not stop. They come day and night, whether he wishes for them or not. You should also know that a prophet who has undergone the rituals does not sleep as ordinary men do. Even in his dreams, he is not free. The spirits pull him into their realm, showing him things he does not wish to see, forcing him to bear witness to events beyond human comprehension. He wakes in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, his heart pounding as if he has been running for his life. But there is nowhere to run. There is no escape. This is the power he sought. And now, it is his burden to carry. My friend, at first, the prophets believe they have received enough. The sight, the miracles, the influence, it seems to be all they ever wanted. But power is never satisfied. Once a man has tasted it, he will crave more. It begins subtly. A small voice in the back of their mind, whispering that they could be greater, that he has not yet reached his full potential. The miracles he performs, the visions he sees, these are only the beginning. There is still more to be taken. The spirits know this hunger. They feed it. And as such, they begin to show the prophet glimpses of even greater power, things he never imagined possible. He watches as other prophets rise above him, commanding entire nations with their words, performing feats that defy all logic. And he begins to wonder, what more could he achieve if he was willing to go further? Some resist, for a time. They try to be content with what they have. But the hunger always wins. Because the moment a prophet stops feeding the power, it begins to consume him instead. The prophets believe they are in control. They believe that they wield the power. But they are wrong. The power wields them. Every miracle they perform, every vision they see, every prophecy they speak, it all comes with a cost. The spirits do not serve without expectation. A prophet who has been given power must continue to prove his worth. The sacrifices must not stop. The offerings must continue. If a prophet refuses, if he hesitates, if he thinks for even a moment that he can walk away, the spirits remind him who is truly in control. They begin to withdraw their gifts, little by little. His visions grow cloudy. His miracles fail. His words lose their weight. And soon, the people who once worshipped him begin to doubt. They begin to question whether he is truly anointed, whether he is still the man they once believed him to be. And so, he cannot afford to lose what he has built. He cannot afford to return to being just an ordinary man. So, he returns to the spirits, begging for their favor. And they listen. But the price is always greater the second time. The prophet who once sacrificed a single soul must now give more. The blood must be richer. The offerings must be grander. The devotion must be absolute. And so, he sinks deeper. Until he no longer remembers what it was like to live without the weight of power pressing down upon him. Until he no longer knows who he is without it. The truth is that there comes a moment in every dark prophet's life when he realizes the truth. The power he carries is not a gift. It is a curse. He can never walk away from it. He can never undo what has been done. He is bound to it until the day he dies. And even then, the spirits will not release him. For the moment his breath leaves his body, the spirits will come to collect what remains. His soul will not rise to the heavens. It will not find peace. It will be claimed, dragged into the depths, where it will serve the same forces he once called upon in life. This is the final price of power. And there is no escape. Now, as I sit here, watching the flames of my shrine flicker against the darkness, I find myself thinking about all that I have done. All that I have seen. All the men who have walked through my doors, desperate for power, willing to give anything to hold the title of prophet. I have lived long enough to see the cycle repeat itself over and over again. Young men, burning with the desire to be great, come to me believing they are answering a divine calling. They bow before my shrine, trembling with hunger, begging for the sight that will make them gods among men. And I have given it to them. I have taken them through the river, stripped them of their past selves, and clothed them in the garments of the spirits. I have watched them kneel before the forces they do not understand, offering blood, sweat, and soul for the power that will make them untouchable. And I have watched them rise. They go out into the world and their names become known. Their churches swell with followers, their voices shake the air, and their hands bring forth miracles that defy all reasoning. But I have also watched them fall. One by one, they all reach the same point. The point where the power becomes heavier than they can bear. The point where they realize that they are not in control, that the spirits that gave them sight now own them. Some grow mad, tormented by visions they can no longer silence. They see things they wish they could unsee. They hear whispers in the dark, calling them to greater sacrifices, to darker rituals. They try to resist, but resistance is futile. Others grow greedy, forever chasing more. They are never satisfied with what they have. They seek deeper realms of power, making offerings so vile that even I, a man who has walked this path for decades, shudder at what they are willing to do. And then there are those who try to escape. I have seen them flee from their altars, abandoning their churches, attempting to wash their hands of the forces they once embraced. But there is no running from the spirits. They do not forget. They do not forgive. A dark prophet who turns his back on the source of his power soon learns the truth. The same spirits that lifted him up will drag him down. Some lose their voices overnight, unable to speak another prophecy. Others wake up blind, their gift of sight taken away as punishment. Some die mysteriously, their bodies found lifeless in their grand homes, with no cause of death that mortal doctors can explain. This is the reality of power. It is never free. It is never without cost. And yet, they still come. Despite all the warnings, all the cautionary tales, all the fallen men whose fates should serve as lessons, they still come. There is always another young prophet, waiting in the shadows. Another ambitious man, willing to kneel before my shrine, ready to take the same path that so many have walked before him. And so, I continue my work. I cleanse them. I prepare them. I lead them through the river, through the fire, through the darkness that transforms them into who they believe they are meant to be. Because in the end, it is not my place to judge. I am only the gatekeeper. I open the door. It is they who choose to walk through it. Why all this for you, the one listening to me? I do not say this to judge anyone. And I cannot even do that, because in my line of work, it is not allowed. But I am only cautioning you, the one who continue to put your faith in other men. Now before I go, you should know and understand that it only takes you to do yourself good or bad. No one, and I repeat, no one can help you except you help yourself. Don't let anyone deceive you all in the name of church. Because, if I decide to have a church today, I will do even greater things than they are doing. But that is not my thing. If you ever believe there is a God, then pray to that God yourself, and seek His ways. This is all I can tell you. Thank you.
And so, you have heard the truth. You have seen the hidden path that many prophets walk before they stand before their congregations, claiming to hear from God. Not all that glitters is gold, and not every miracle comes from above. Many people are desperate for answers, for healing, for breakthroughs. And in that desperation, they run into the hands of men who have sacrificed their souls for power. But the question is, at what cost? My advice to you is simple: seek God for yourself. Do not place your faith blindly in any man simply because he wears a robe, speaks in tongues, or calls himself a prophet. Test every spirit. Some prophets are not leading you to God, they are leading you into bondage. Be careful who lays hands on you. Be careful who speaks over your life. Because behind some altars, there is blood. Behind some prayers, there is a price. Now, I ask you, what do you think? Comment below and share your thoughts on this revelation. Have you ever suspected that a prophet might not be who he claims to be? Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to Dangerous African Confession so you never miss another deep expose. Like this video if you believe the truth must be exposed. Share this video so others can open their eyes before it's too late.